Hello and welcome to Stories of Resilience, our podcast series to promote an ACE-aware nation in Scotland. Adverse childhood experiences touch us all in one way or another. This series explores the thoughts of those involved with the ACEs movement in Scotland, and we talk to individuals who have stories of resilience to share. I'm Gary Robinson. My guest today is Katy Hetherington. Katy coordinates the ACEs hub within NHS Health Scotland and is here today to give us a perspective on ACEs and the link to public health. So, Katy, if we can start the podcast by me asking, could you tell me what you do within the ACEs hub in NHS Health Scotland? So what is the ACEs hub and what are its intentions?
Yeah, of course. So my role is the lead for child and adolescent public health in NHS Health Scotland. So Health Scotland's role is to reduce health inequalities in Scotland, and we do that by working with a range of partners across not just the NHS, but in the voluntary sector, with government, with lots of different sectors in across the public sector, using our knowledge of the causes of health inequalities to inform policy and practice. And that's one of the reasons that we asked the Scottish Public Health Network to undertake a report on adverse childhood experiences, which was called Polishing the Diamonds, and that was published in May 2016. And that set out a number of areas for action to take a public health approach to the prevention of ACEs, and also to respond in a more informed way to ACEs, which led to us establishing a Scottish ACEs hub. The hub is multidisciplinary. It includes people from a range of different sectors, including Police Scotland, from academia, from mental health, from public health, and from the voluntary sector. And they're working with us to build on the recommendations that was in that public health report and to develop much broader awareness and understanding across different sectors around adverse childhood experiences.
ACEs is a relatively new term to me, Katy, ever since I saw the film Resilience, as many people have done, and I've done an awful lot of reading about it in the meantime. I'm quite new to it. When it was described to me, I had a light bulb moment. I call it that all the time, and I'm very respectful of the people who are involved with this, like Dr. Susan Zeedyk and Pauline Scott at Tigers, and I do refer to it as science, but it's not rocket science. It's a science that I think everybody can understand. Is ACEs new to the NHS, or have they been aware of this for a while, and have they been working prior to me opening a book about ACEs, earlier this year? Has work around ACEs been going on for a wee while within NHS Health Scotland? Yeah,
that's a really good point to make. Childhood adversity is something that Health Scotland has always had an interest in, because we know that our early life experiences have an impact both on our health and well-being in childhood, but also across the life course. So as a national health improvement organisation, we've always done a lot of work around children and young people's health and well-being, as well as providing information for parents. We do work around child poverty, around mental health. We work with government to evaluate policies, which are all intended to have a good impact on children's health and well-being. So childhood adversity and its links with health and well-being is not something new, but I think what the ACE study has really done has given us a common language that we can use across lots of different sectors. And I think that's where it has really caught on fire across Scotland at the moment. And the Resilience documentary articulates it really well and really succinctly, and has probably done more for attention and focus around childhood adversity as a public health issue than probably any public health report has done, and has been a really timely and useful resource for us. So knowledge around childhood adversity and its impacts across the life course is not new. My own interest in ACEs developed a few years ago on work I was doing around health and homelessness, where early childhood trauma is found to be common in the life histories of those experiencing the most complex forms of homelessness. And we had a conference around health and homelessness where we had speakers who have done work on the ACE study in England, speaking around ACEs at a health and homelessness conference. So that was a few years ago. So it's not new to us in the NHS and to the public sector, but I think it's really given us this common language and common goal to make sure that we're all working much better together from a common evidence base.
And one of those goals in particular, I think that the large looming goal is for Scotland to become the first ever ACE-aware nation, hence the conference in September. What would the benefits of Scotland being an ACE-aware nation, what would the benefits of that to the NHS, what would they be?
I suppose building on what we've seen so far with the documentary Resilience, so that's been, as I said, a great tool for raising awareness, not just with professional organisations and sectors, but I think with the public as well. And that's why we were so delighted to be involved with the tour of the documentary across Scotland. And I think what that has started to do is to prompt more questions around, well, we know this now, so what can we do about it, and move from the awareness raising to the actions that we can take. So Health Scotland's very interested in promoting action on the causes of childhood adversity and the causes of societal inequalities, which can lead to poor health outcomes across our communities in Scotland. And I think having that information, not just in professional sectors, but in the hands of parents, is hugely important. So we provide information to parents on lots of different areas of child health, including immunisation and screening, and our publication Ready Steady Baby is all about preparing parents and mothers expecting children. And I think having that information about how early childhood adversity can impact on children's health and well-being, and how that might impact on a person's parenting, will be hugely important. So I think getting the information out across lots of different communities will be hugely empowering to parents and communities, because it's not all doom and gloom. And I think sometimes when you get into the research around this, it can seem to be a bit doom and gloom, but we want to really promote that ACEs are not someone's destiny, and there's lots that we can do to protect and promote resilience in our children and families.
That's a great view. We were speaking to, or rather, I was speaking to Chief Superintendent Paul Main of Police Scotland, and we were talking about ACEs in terms of how his officers will deal with the public going forward. But he also made a really good point about how being ACE aware, trauma informed, if you like, can help his team of 850 officers. Do you think that there is a correlation between trauma informed awareness, if you like, and the benefits to your own staff in the NHS?
Oh, I think so, yeah, and I think I would agree with what Paul has said. One of the things that we did at the conference back in November 2016 was to undertake an ACE survey with our delegates. So we had over 200 delegates in the room, and to start off the session, we asked people who were willing to participate in that to undertake their own ACE survey. And I think that gives people an insight into how ACEs affect all of us as a society, and it's not just something which affects certain communities across Scotland. So I think Paul's view around how we can get this information across our whole workforce is hugely important, and we don't want it to be seen as a kind of us and them approach around this, that it's only certain parts of our community and society that are affected by childhood adversity. So that survey that we did at the conference, I think people found really quite an enlightening opportunity to undertake their own reflections on how childhood adversity might have affected them. So I think it's got huge implications for us as individuals working in this area, but also for our own understanding about what might have happened to us in our own early life, and how that might have led to some of our own health behaviours, some of our own decisions. So I think there's lots to do around our own sort of workforce understanding about adverse childhood experiences, which the film is doing, and which this conference will also contribute to.
So there is a long road ahead for us to make real inroads into ACEs, and for this ambition for Scotland to become an ACE-aware nation. I suppose two questions, Katy, before we finish. How realistic do you think it is for Scotland to become an ACE-aware nation? And the steps that we need to get there, I suppose we need the will of the nation, we need the will of the people, but we need money to do it as well. So I just wondered if we could summarise your thoughts on those couple of areas before we finish.
So the first point around how realistic it is to become an ACE-aware nation, I think that's a realistic goal. I think we're in an excellent position at the moment in Scotland because we have the political environment around us. So one of the important policy developments in Scotland over the last year or two has been that we have a policy lead in Scottish Government around adverse childhood experiences, and Sarah Dodd's been leading work across the government to, I suppose, join up policy responses in government using the ACE research as a way to do that, and there's a huge appetite for that both among the civil servants, but also ministerially. We've got commitment in the programme for government for the first time specifically around adverse childhood experiences. So I think, setting out on a course for Scotland to become an ACE-aware nation, I think is a realistic goal. I'm not sure we'll be the first nation. I think Wales might have something to say about that. They've been doing a lot of work around adverse childhood experiences, and we've been working really closely with them and been able to draw upon the great research that they've been doing around ACE surveys and about resilience factors in Wales. So I think it is a realistic goal for us to aim for. Your other question was around... Sorry, I forgot.
Listen, it was a very long-winded question, Katy, I have to say. I do apologise. I must have had my long-winded pills with my milk and my tea this morning. It was about, grabbing the hearts and minds of the nation and how we do that, but also from a monetary point of view, we need to make this work. We need to speculate to accumulate.
Yeah, I think, we're continuing to make the case for the importance of prevention. We want to prevent some of the impacts that early adversity can have on not just health, but, as I'm sure Paul Main talked about, around the justice system, around our mental health services, as I mentioned, the impact around homelessness, and the intergenerational impacts that childhood adversity can have. So we do want to intervene and make the case for prevention. And as I said, I think we've got a good policy and political environment for that at the moment. There's also developments to create a new public health agency for Scotland over the next year. So we've got the opportunity to make sure that early years supporting parents and families is a priority for a new public health agency in Scotland. There's always an ask around resources for this, but I think we've got the opportunity to embed this across existing workforce development, existing policies and services. So it might not be about new things, it's about maybe changing how we might be doing existing things.
So Katy, tell me, I believe that you've made an animation with regard to ACEs, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. We've done a short 4-minute animation just to summarise the ACE research within a Scottish context. So we've been speaking at lots of conferences, doing workshops. We've got a webpage on healthscotland.scot, and we just felt that there was the need and an appetite for something short around ACEs within a Scottish context. So we're hoping to promote that over the next few weeks, and it'll be on our website and through our Twitter feed, and hopefully it'll just contribute to lots of different resources that are out there around ACEs, and hopefully, as Health Scotland, we're able to contribute our part in that role in raising understanding and awareness about ACEs.
Katy Hetherington at NHS Health Scotland, thank you very much indeed. That was Stories of Resilience, celebrating individuals and organisations who are helping to make Scotland an ACE-aware nation. Find out more about ACEs and the ACE Aware Conference this September in Glasgow at www.aceawarescotland.com.